Welcome to Magical Moments with Alena Chapman, the place for you to break free from the norm and celebrate your life, because what we believe in our hearts becomes our reality. This is Magical Moments with Alena Chapman.
Welcome to Magical Moments for that ease and betterment in your life. I'm your host, Alena Chapman. Okay, we've got a magical nugget. And I've really been thinking hard about this. And I was thinking to myself, ooh, it's a touchy one in so many ways, because right now everything is so incredibly sensitive, I'd like to say. People are sensitive. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of fear out there. It's amazing. And I was on Monday nights once a month, I am now joined this fabulous group of about 25 to 30 women who are all on the East Coast. They all grew up together, you know, and I think it's so funny that they just let me tag along. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. And I have to say, we were all talking about just the divide that has happened in our country. And just all the stuff that's happening, and it's splitting families. It's splitting families. It's splitting relationships. And I thought, well, this is not why we're here. This is not what I always say. I have this motto, which I would love to say. Well, it was downloaded, but other people have said it in other ways. But love is spirit. And when we celebrate that love in any form, then we are living with spirit. When we are on other vibrations, and I know we don't talk a lot about vibrations too much. We have in earlier shows. But, you know, when you're not feeling love, let's put it that way. When you're not on one station, but you're on a radio station, but you're on another, you get a different vibe, right? You get different kinds of music. You get different kind of news sometimes. All right. Well, that's what I'm talking about. And when you are in love, you get this miraculous energy of overflowing abundance in your heart. Your life changes, your relationships grow. It's like growing a beautiful garden. But when you get on that other station, it's all bad news. It's all hard news. It's all music that's grating to you, and it puts a fire in your belly. And we get into a position where we think we have the only answer. And what happens is, this goes for either side of anything, but we feel that we have the answer and we're the only ones. Then all of a sudden, we have another world that alienates and divides. I think right now we have been given a gift. Yeah, I really do. We have been given a tremendous gift. Our world has been shook up, and I mean, it's been put into a mixer and just mixed up, saying, hey, you know what, people, you think everything is secure and safe, and that, you know, you don't have, you're not part of this government or whatever your way of being is. But we have been thrown, this is your reality. Well, guess what? It's really not that way. And that's a gift. That's a gift. Because guess what? Now we have a chance to make things better. We have a chance to just say, okay, how can I lead forward in a place that unites, where we have open dialogue, where we do have understanding, where we grow a garden that is fruitful and bountiful for everyone, instead of a world of sadness and distrust. So I'm asking everyone, and this is a big nugget, and I'm positive I'm going to get some Ask Alena questions on this, but that's all right, because I think that dialogue has to start somewhere. So let it start here. I'm okay. It's important. It's important. So put aside any of that. Well, I don't know if I can say it on the line. My mom used to say it when I was little. It's blank and vinegar inside of you. Put away that yucky stuff. Just put it aside and act with kindness. And I bet you will find other people, many people, who will respond with overwhelming kindness, because right now, folks, that's what people want. It's a very unsure world, and we're not sure how to step into what we want it to be. But we really do need to start with kindness, no matter what kind of world we make. Okay, I have a fabulous guest. In fact, I mean, she's a friend. She is a wonderful friend. I love her. She was in you're going to love her. She's in my Inevitable You program. I love her so much. I had her as one of the speakers because she's just fabulous. Her name is Candice Harper. And she's a relationship coach with 9 years of experience working with singles and couples to create healthy relationships through unconditional self-acceptance. There's that wonderful self-acceptance. Her work is a combination of modern growth techniques, strategic intervention, and rapid transformational therapy incorporated with her own curriculum. And I love this. It's called the Epic Healing Circle. I like that. She's got a new wonderful program we're going to talk about today, and it's called Fat Shrinking Emotional Fitness. Oh my gosh. Now, doesn't that just say what? Okay, for 2 years, she was a guest on the Bill Cunningham show. She's been on Magical Moments a few times. She was actually on the first half-hour segments of our show, and Arise 360. She also is a professional matchmaker. I didn't know that. With a premium dating service. Oh my gosh, I love that. All right, with that, I'm going to bring on my friend, Candice Harper. Hello, Candice.
Hi, Alena, my sweet love.
I am so happy to have you back on. Oh my gosh, hon. All right, so you heard my magical nugget. And you have all the stuff you're doing. You're over in New York. First of all, I want to know, how is it there? And how are you all dealing with the pandemic and all the other stuff that we've got mixed in with everything? It's quite a year already.
It's been quite a year, quite an adjustment. I keep saying that Mother Nature wanted us all to just sit down.
Just sit down and breathe. Isn't it true? It is so true. And I'm just wondering, you talk a lot about, even the new program, the emotional fitness, self-acceptance. Let's deal with that a little bit. A lot of people say the word. It's like this, okay, self-acceptance. Oh my gosh, I got more responsibility.
Yeah.
With that, but I don't know. I don't find self-acceptance to be, I didn't find it this load of responsibility. I found it actually freeing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. It is, because I think a lot of times, self-acceptance is one of those sort of generic phrases that people think, oh, well, if I'm going to start loving myself, that means I have to start going into action. But really, it's just exploration, discovery, right? So discovering that I'm enough, discovering enoughness, allowing enoughness. It really is more about a surrender than an action. It's not a forcing, which I think that we've sort of set it up that it's something you've got to learn to do.
Yeah.
You've got to practice harder. You just have to allow yourself to know you're enough.
And we're so scared of that. We are so scared of why we're enough. I'm on a new platform, Clubhouse, and one of my other friends from New York got me on there. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It's a new app. And I was talking to someone about self-acceptance and how, that every part of you is truly beautiful. The faults are beautiful. The everything, the experiences you've gone through, no matter how hard they are, they've made you who you are. Now you have your chance. What do you want to do with it? But it's all you. And it's funny, the responses I got from so many people. Yeah. A lot of them could not see how anything they grew up with was good in any shape, way, or form. And granted, people have been through Hades and back. I'm trying not to swear. Hades and back. And so with that, yes, we've all had our Hades and back, I think. Some more severe than others.
What we've sort of espoused to in our culture is this paradigm of, if I start accepting myself, that means I'm going to stop wanting to be better, or I'm not going to ever have anything better.
Oh, really?
Right? We're always sold.
I didn't even hear that. Now, wait. I know someone's resonating with that out there. Talk more a little bit about that. How does the world create that?
Yeah, so we live in a capitalistic society, which, has its ups and its downs, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of what we are inundated with from, day one is how to be more, be better, look better, be richer, work harder. And so I think that when we start to think about just accepting ourselves, it becomes a scary proposition, because if I accept myself, that means I just let myself be who I am and what I am right now.
Scary.
It's like, oh no, right?
Oh my gosh.
I work with a lot of alpha women, especially in my matchmaking, and what I find is that, women in particular wanting to strive and achieve, it's like, if I start accepting myself, I'm not going to want to achieve anymore, or I'm not going to push myself anymore. And I think that's where we get it wrong.
I used to be that. Me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's really funny. I look back. I talk to people now. They're so scared. That's exactly what they're scared of. They're scared if they pause, the world is going to run by them and they miss their shot.
Yeah.
And I'm so sick of, I'm going to take that shot. Yeah, it's, the Hamilton. I love the musical, but oh my gosh, that shot has been brought out to me 100 times now. And I think, guys, it really is. I used to be that girl. I know. When I was an unconscious competent, I was raised. It's like I was a racehorse or something. You know what I mean? I was bred. I didn't think if you didn't go to college, oh my God, was there a life? Yeah, that's how I grew up. That's how my parents grew me. And when and my dad was all about he was a self-made man, and he worked hard, and if you talk to him, he made it happen, and he put that in me. I'm a daddy's girl. So I was very much, and at 3 years old, I had claimed my independence to the dogs. I'm on my own, Yeah. So you add that to your dad's training, and I was a fine racehorse and being a very alpha, push, make it happen person for years.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was also an unconscious competent, so things would happen, and I'd be like, I'm working hard, but my God, the magic is still here. Why? But I still had this thing but I wore out. I was
it does wear you out, and it also often goes hand in hand with a level of perfectionism, and it also is self-defeating. So, you mentioned my program, Fat Shrinking Emotional Fitness.
Yeah.
The crux of that program is that it does show up a lot in how our bodies feel and what our bodies do. And that sort of being that racehorse and being a perfectionist and striving and being hard on ourselves often shows up as an up and down weight problem. So that's why I invented this course, was to get to the heart of that pressure we put on ourselves. Yeah.
Isn't that true? An up and down. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was hard on that too. Yeah, when I was younger. It is interesting. It is really, really interesting. And if you had told me at that time that I needed to I did get told when I started with Wayne Dyer. he all of a sudden, he's the one that introduced me to the Tao, and the Tao is about letting it happen. And I was like, what? Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that even possible? And it's very hard, extremely hard to go from the alpha to like a Tao kind of letting it happen.
Yeah.
Because it's vibration A and vibration Z. It's that far apart, So,
and isn't he the one who said that when you change the way that you look at things, the things you look at change?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's what he was talking about, and it does go along with the Tao, because I follow him as well, that it's that acceptance, that's when we get to be able to affect sustainable change with the things in our lives. That's when we really get to achieve, is when we're in acceptance, not when we're in that drive, that fight, that resistance, but when we're willing to say, I am 100% enough with my weaknesses and my strengths, and I can use all of it. All of it is perfect. As soon as we can say that, we can achieve anything. We're way more powerful than when we're hard on ourselves.
That's what I found too.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Let's face it, when you are the person who is making it happen, it's a hell of a big responsibility on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And you feel like you are at the steering wheel. Let's put it this way. I always thought I was that poem Invictus, where you're the captain of your ship, I'm the master of my soul. Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, you can all look that up. That's a wonderful, wonderful poem, old poem. It's Invictus or Toss. Some people say Toss. It's U.S., though. And it talks about being the master. Although you are battered and bruised, I am the master of my soul. I'm the captain of my ship. So I always see my life as a ship, and I'm coming out of this, a narrow place in the river, and out before me is the open sea where I want to go for my dreams.
Yeah.
And I used to say, as I go over into this port and it's all rocky, or I get into the rocks, well, it's my choice if I want to stay there or not.
Yeah.
And I always saw myself at the helm, but you know what? Now I see myself at the helm with my friends, my family, because I've with divinity, with with my dad who's passed on. I see him with me. My ship is now so crowded, but it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And
when you say at the helm, do you mean like these are the people that you are now in partnership with, as opposed to being?
These are the people that I'm not always. I don't have to always be at the helm. I have friends I can turn to. I have friends that can help me. I have friends that I can help. I have people that I have divinity. I live by my soul. I can tap into my soul. I do tap into my soul. I teach how to tap into your soul, so I better live by it. And when you do that, you just be quiet for a minute, and all the help and guidance that you need is right there. It's amazing. I never have to feel like I have to make it happen now. It will happen the way that I know it is supposed to happen. I just have to keep walking the walk, love what I'm doing, know what I really kind of want to do in the end of it all, and let the world and the universe unfold.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it really goes to an awareness thing. I always say you have everything you need to have everything you want, and really we're just walking around unaware of it when we're
totally
right. So it's.
Well, we're fighting it at tooth and nail. We fight it every minute. We're either sabotaging it or trying to control it.
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk. That is a cool concept. That's how I live, and it is. It takes a lot of surrender, but I'll tell you, you have to go through. It's a growth. It's a growth. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to surrender everything. I give you till tomorrow morning. It is a growth process, because I tried. That's how I know. I've tried to surrender before, and it's like, no, I can't. And
It's a practice.
It is. It's a process, and you got to go through that self-acceptance. That is so. There has to be a level that you love yourself, or at least trust yourself.
Yeah.
Before you will allow yourself to open up to something else and trust.
Yeah.
You know, that trust word is a big one. We're always looking for trust in other people when we don't even trust ourselves. How can we do that?
Right. No, it's true. It does start with us.
It does. So with this, love it. I'm going to say it again. The fat shrinking emotional fitness. What got you into that? What really, why did you go that route?
Why go that route? Well,
there's a personal story there, Candace.
Yes, 100% a personal story. So I, throughout my adult life, losing and gaining the same 45 to 50 pounds. And
I'm with you.
Right? And getting to a point in my life where I was just like, okay, there's got to be a way for this to be sustainable. Because, a lot of us out there who've ever dealt with, having extra weight, we know how to lose it. Like, we know the physical things that you're supposed to do. And some of us don't, but, there's so much out there about nutrition and exercise. We know that physiologically, scientifically, that's the way you do it, right?
Right.
And some of us get very good, and I'm a master at it. Like, if I gain some pounds, I know how to do all the physical stuff to take it off. But I finally had to say, well, why do I keep having to go back up and take it off, go back up and take it off? Like, I'm tired of that. And it came down to that I hadn't dealt with the emotional reason for why I kept putting the weight back on and what the weight was meaning in my life. And as soon as I got clear about that, I was like, okay, this is the magic.
Were you an emotional eater?
I've been an emotional eater, but a lot of it had to do with the weight had a job in my life. And so the emotional eating was just me supporting, our brains, what they do is they cause our survival. And they don't know what's a good way to do it or what's a bad way to do it. That's why we have fight or flight response, like you were talking about. Yes. The brain is just there to have you survive. So if I say, I'm afraid of achieving, or I'm afraid of success, or I'm afraid of intimacy, the brain might say, okay, let me help you. Let me give you an extra 45 pounds because that's going to stop you from getting too close. You won't want to be naked. That's going to stop you from, getting on stage if you want to. That's going to stop you from doing a lot of things that you're afraid to do. Right?
Isn't that cool? And that's very interesting. It's a sabotage. Just because your brain says we're going to keep you in that comfort zone because that's where you should be. Yeah.
Exactly. That's my job. I see that you're afraid, and my job is to calm you down and let you know that you don't have to be afraid.
Here,
so
have a cookie.
What's that?
I said, here, have a cookie.
Exactly. Here's it. Comfort yourself. And don't worry, because that extra pounds is going to have you have an excuse not to live out loud, right?
That's right. Yeah. Isn't that something?
What I sort of configured and figured, especially through, doing hypnotherapy and things like that, is that there is a way, once we get into that awareness, to change the synapses of the brain and get in alignment with what it is that we want sustainably, what we want in the long run, and start to recognize when we're making a choice in the moment, like whether it's a food choice or a choice to exercise or a choice to just take care of ourselves and rest. Start to recognize what it's about and then just make a series of better choices that has that weight loss be sustainable and not have it be a thing where it's me fighting my willpower or trying to stay on a diet.
Which is so hard, especially when you have kids,
Yeah.
Very hard. Yeah.
And things like food restriction, like that's useless. Like that has to be off the table because, as soon as we restrict food, especially when we're in a state of fight or flight, it's all we want.
Yes. Yeah. It's the verboten thing that you want to have. Yep. The thing that's forbidden. Yep. Oh my gosh. And because you can't have it, you want it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It is. It's really funny, isn't it?
It is.
I think a lot of people, we don't even realize it. We really, and it's when and I admit sometimes it happens if I feel like I'm thinking hard about something. Yes, stuff does get stuck in my brain once in a while. And when I do, then that's when I want a carb.
Yeah.
I don't want the apple. They're sitting right there. No, I want the carb. And there's a reason for that. Number one, it's sugar. Number one, it's I grew up with it. It's really that you you have to be very aware and say, wait a minute, that thing's not going to really help me. It just feels like it's going to. Have a cup of tea instead. It is stopping. It's stopping that, isn't it? And but you have to, now this is this is one thing I always, well, there are a few things I always say. But one truth I know, when you create a void, the universe hates a void. So you have to fill it. You know, so if I'm taking out those carbs, then I have to fill it with something, correct?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about it. I don't think that it's about having to take out those carbs. I think that the moment that we say, I can eat whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. And we believe that wholeheartedly. For some people, that's very scary to consider that because they think they're just going to go off the rails.
Yeah.
But the moment you say to yourself that it's not about that I need to restrict myself, you're not causing any void. There doesn't have to be any sort of void. Out is when I'm in the moment of making a choice, what do I want to feel today? What am I up to today? What is my long game? If I'm willing to just ask myself those questions, and I've dealt with the fear, whatever the fear is, and I always say it's heal your past, love yourself, start over again, and that's the cycle. So when I have a fear about something, I'm going to have the tendency to want to make the choice that doesn't work.
Okay.
But when I'm aware of the fear and I've faced it, then I'll more likely make a choice that does work. When I'm in a moment of should I eat the cake or should I eat the cucumber, I'm allowed to have the cake.
Yeah,
I can have the cake if I want to, but if I'm willing to just ask myself, what mode am I in? Is it the fear? Am I trying to self-sabotage, or am I up to something today that I want to feel good? If I take that moment to ask myself, usually I'll make the healthier choice, or the more workable choice.
I like that.
Not every time.
We will be right back. You're listening to Magical Moments. Let's delve a little bit more into this wonderful fat shrinking emotional fitness. I like this. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening. Your weekend continues with Magical Moments featuring Alena Chapman right now.
Welcome back to Magical Moments. I'm your host, Alena Chapman. Boy, are we getting that ease and betterment. The betterment part is the big part today. And I've got Candice Harper on, and we're talking about that fat shrinking emotional fitness, which is, you know what, guys? Yeah, that is where it starts. It's our emotions. It's us. It's our either fight or flight or sabotage or whatever else we got going on that we need to fix. If we really want to feel good about our bodies, about our lives, it's a perspective change. And Candice, we were just talking. I love the cucumber or the cake. I can have the cake. I thought that was great. But I think that it does take a level because, I'm very fortunate. I do remember back to where I was very thin. I want to get back to it, but it wasn't a healthy thin. You know what I mean? It really wasn't.
I do. It's that thin where you're like white knuckling it and holding on by a thread.
Oh yeah, and you're like eating like nothing. You're eating nothing, and I was very, very, very thin, and it wasn't a good place to be. I loved being that thin, but it was also not sustainable, but I have to say, and I don't ever want to get back to that unhealthy. I know exactly what I ate during a day, and I averaged 800 calories.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's
800 calories. That was what I averaged. So very bad, very unhealthy. But so I know, no, I wasn't anorexic. That would have been 0 calories.
Yeah.
But I was very thin. But I have to say, that came from that unhealthy behavior of being the make it happen. You gotta be perfect in every way. You gotta feel good. You gotta you're like a machine. Like I said, that thoroughbred horse. And that's where I was at. Now, so when you get into this, other going into our emotional, you're asking someone a lot of people who don't even register their emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And haven't looked back. I really didn't look back on my childhood very much.
Yeah.
So when you look at this kind of person, and all of us say you're giving a perspective that they don't have yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
well, here's the.
How do you open that?
So, that's the sort of the beginnings of the program, right? It's the healing of the past. So I may not be in the language of, that my past is in any way affecting who I am now. I may not, be walking around with the understanding that I got some conditioning or I had some patterns or some trauma or some things that happened in the past that are dictating who I'm being now. But what I can be open to is that my today relationship with myself is a culmination of what I've learned about relationship. And the other component of that is that I am also in relationship with the things in my life. Like I have a relationship with food. So as soon as I open it up,
that's a good term right there, Candace.
Right?
No, that term, oh my God, you should plaque that. I have a relationship with food. No, that goes against everything we have in our head. We don't want a relationship with food. Food is right. We shouldn't have it, and it's fair. Like I said, it's forbidden. But I have a relationship with food. I'm serious. You should plaque that. That's a really good.
Right? I will. But the thing about that relationship with food is most of us who are going up and down with our weight or even holding on to weight for a long time is that we have a relationship with food and we also have a fear of commitment at the same time. So
we're a mess.
If you're in a relationship with another person with a fear of commitment, you know how dysfunctional that can be.
Yeah,
and so,
very.
As soon as we open up that conversation about what is my relationship with food, then I get to go into an internal exploration about relationships in my life. And it does, it's a natural segue. I start to think, well, I didn't even realize it was a relationship because how we relate with everything is how we've been taught to relate with each other.
Oh, right? My gosh, I love this.
Right? I'll do my love life the same way that I do my physical health. I'll do my career life the same way that I show up for my family a lot of times, just because this is how I know how to relate with the world, relate with the things around me and what's important to me. And so as soon as you open that conversation, then it's like the universe says, all right, here's all you need to explore it.
This is really interesting because you are right on. When I start with a client a lot of times, I will have them write down their family, their job, their friends. Yeah. And in that, I want to know what is working, what is not working, like a T-bar. Now, when they do that, then I have them look. And I'll say, gosh, 99.9999999. They are saying, oh my gosh, it's the same thing in all different forms. Yeah. The problem I'm having in one area, I'm having in all the others. Yeah. And so to me, I'm thinking to myself, all right, so how you treat your relationships are how you treat your relationships. How you treat your relationship is how you treat yourself. How you treat your food is how you're going to treat someone who you depend on, you think you depend on, like a relationship. So if you are one of those people who ignore food, don't want it, it's awful, or you're too busy for it, and then all of a sudden something happens and you want it to cuddle you and you want all the comfy food, and that's what you want in your relationships. And I bet darn tootin' that's exactly how you treat your relationship.
Yeah. No, it's true. Or there was a relationship that you've had in your past that taught you that, because we
that too,
right? What is familiar, right?
It's so funny. You learn things in so many ways. I really thought, why I stopped eating so much was it was my mom, basically. Number one, I'm bringing this up because I want people to see that sometimes it's not what people do to you. It's sometimes your perception of the situation. Like, I was pretty defiant with my mom in many ways because she and I are oil and vinegar. So I remember when I was 14 and I decided to eat very little because I wanted to be thin.
Yeah.
And I'm an Italian. We're never that thin. So I wanted to be thin. And so I wasn't eating. And I remember she was she got so angry. And it was almost a defiance Isn't that awful? I learned a defiance. So it might not be something that someone did to you. It might be a situation that spurred you into a bad... our minds are funny things. I never want to say it's just one way why people end up the way they are. But there's many ways that we play with our brains and come up with the funniest ways to form these new beliefs we have.
It's true. I would say, there's two big questions, though, that if you ask yourself and you're having any kind of issues with your weight, there's two big questions to ask. It's what's my relationship with food, and what is the fat's job? Like, when I'm fat, what job does fat have for me? And sometimes people even take
Good
it to
question.
personification. Like, if I were going to describe the fat on my body as a person, how would I describe them? So I might say that they're, heavy, jiggly, burdensome, angry. Like, I'll have a personification that I can describe. And I bet if I describe it, that I can also associate that with someone in my past, in my childhood, who also fits that description.
I like that. You're personifying. I love that. Because now that I have not tried.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that with myself or anyone. Making the fat or the extra on your body, thinking, okay, why is it here? What does it like? Why is it the way it is?
What's its job?
What's its job? There you go. What's its job?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I bet people are like going off like light bulbs right now.
I hope so, because it does open you up. It opens you up to exploration without wrong-making, because it's not about, I'm so fat, I'm so this, I'm so ugly. It's not that. It's like, I love you, fat, because you have a job here. I love you for what you've done. I at some point we do in my program, we thank the fat. We write the fat a breakup letter. Thank you for all you've done for me. I love you for what you've done for me, because you had a job in my life, but you don't need to do that job anymore, because now I can, replace it with something new, something that works.
Something that works. It does take an awareness. And it's a lot like inner child work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you talk to or even that, there's a wonderful meditation of the Tao that they, how to deal with blocks in yourself. Have you ever heard of that? This is a lot like that. It's where you sit in the meditation, you have that light come down through the crown. And when it'll hit the block, because you're aware of it and you're looking for it, you just, in the first block it meets, you talk to it, you decide, you form a relationship, you then decide if you want to keep it, change it, or let it go.
Yeah.
And you're saying to do that with the fat. It's a wonderful way of dealing with it, because all of a sudden, and it's not an enemy.
Exactly. And that's part of, that self-acceptance thing, because, we spend so much time hating it and mad at it, mad that it's there, resisting it. And that's why it keeps coming back. It's trite, but what we resist persists, right?
Exactly.
So it's that acceptance. Like, you know what? You're here for a reason. So let's talk about it. What is it's like if you had a bad child, and I don't mean that your children are actually bad, but a child that you're perceiving as bad, right? So if you have a child that's acting out, so you could say, okay, so what's going on? Like, can we talk about this? And you can, come to the child in a calm state and talk to the child. And, it may not work the first time, but that approach is going to have you get to a point where the child trusts you and gives you understanding, and maybe you can work through whatever's going on with the child. But if every time the child acts out, you lock them in a closet or you beat them up. Right?
Yeah.
What are you going to have? You're going to have an adult who grows up and can't function properly, or has all kinds of emotional problems, and the problem escalates. It just gets worse and worse and worse. It's the same thing with anything in our lives, anything about ourselves. It's like that acceptance. Like, okay, you're here. It's perfect that you're here, because now I get to learn from you. I get to grow from you. I get to figure out what we can do to, be part of the solution with you. And you can talk to your fat that way. What are you trying to solve for me, fat? What are you protecting me from? I accept you. Thank you. Thank you for whatever it is you're doing. I want to understand it.
So many times people don't understand the fear that they have about stepping out of their comfort zone and trying something new.
Yeah.
There are, honest to God, I really don't have a comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I do think because I can't imagine staying in that comfort zone for very long. People will just, they have all sorts of things in their life that they really can't move out of it because of fear. Now, it's the same concept. It's the same darn concept. And if the fat is protecting you, I bet for those people who don't understand why they can't step out, it's a fear of success, a fear of failure, a fear of not fitting in. There's something of relationships, jobs, anything. And all of a sudden, that fat is what's holding you in that comfort zone, that fear. You know what I mean? You can bring this on so many levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for a lot of people, that is its job. I mean, that was its job for me in a lot of ways. It was, protecting me from intimacy. It protected me from, having to, like I said, go as big as I could, live out loud, get on stage, speak, all the things that I wanted to do. The fat protected me from that. I can remember I used to call it calling in fat. So, if you've ever had days where none of your clothes fit, and so you'd make up sort of a sickness and then not have to go wherever it is you were going.
Oh, that's
so
horrible.
I would call in fat, I can't make it today because I don't feel good. When really, none of my clothes were fitting.
I've never heard of that. Really? Oh, my gosh.
But the reason none of my clothes were fitting is because the fat was doing its job, which was to keep me small.
Protect you. Keep you small.
Sounds counterintuitive, but, keep me internally small and big on the outside in a way that had me,
and safe at home. Safe and, safe and comfortable in your chair.
Getting out of that comfort zone. Exactly.
Isn't that interesting? Intimacy. Yeah. Intimacy is a really big issue because people, like we said, if people don't trust themselves, then how can they trust someone else? You know what I mean? And so it's funny, we're going around half blind. And with that, right there, if you are, what's the best way not to get intimate? Oh my gosh, be overweight.
Right. Not love your body, not love what your body looks like. So if I'm overweight and I'm allowing myself to be overweight, and I know I don't feel comfortable when I'm overweight, then that's the perfect protection from intimacy, right?
Well, it is because you don't feel attractive. So you never go there. That's what it is. You never go there. Don't go to that spot where you have to show that body. Yeah.
It's true.
And then that stops the whole relationship. You know what I mean? You didn't let it evolve. You just stopped it right there. And you did what your body wanted you to do, or your fat wanted you, protecting you, what you were scared of, the intimacy of getting too serious.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It is very, very interesting.
There's another thing, too, that I want to make sure that we don't gloss over, because there is the whole sort of fat acceptance movement, which I think is a great movement in the sense that it does have a lot of women out there, taking that step of yes, I accept it. I love my fat. I love everything about myself. But I think the step further is if I'm truly in action around loving myself, I'm also making choices around my body being as healthy as it can be. And that doesn't mean that everybody has to be skinny. It's not about that. It's about what is my best, healthiest possible body, and what is my best, healthiest possible.
And be real. I mean, people. Yeah. I mean, really be real about this, because I know that there are sites out there. I mean, you can find anything on YouTube or Google. And one of the things I know they're out there because I read them, and I'm like, this isn't true. And they were saying why fat is so important. And why fat is so healthy. And guys, you can love your fat and you can love your body type, and you don't want to fight anymore. I think Candace, that start to accept yourself is wonderful. Get a relationship with the food and the fat, and then you can decide then. But let's not fool ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's not fool ourselves. Don't go for all that crap. Don't try to justify your fat. That's just hiding it. You're just hiding it. You're saying, "Oh, I just don't want to do anything about it, so here's why it's healthy."
Yeah, it's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out, guys. And I'm not saying that we all have to be twiggy. It's just healthy. Just being healthy. And if you are really, you're overweight and you know it, and you know that you don't feel good, you're finding that it's hampering your life in some way, then guess what? You got to form a relationship with it. You got to do some of these things we're talking about and say, all right, let's get real here. Why am I wanting this fat?
Yeah.
Because this fat is serving me for some reason. And what is that? And do I really need it? And, and maybe I don't need it anymore. Maybe I do want that intimate relationship. Maybe I do want to feel good and just any clothes I wear just fall on me beautifully and I don't have to hide or dread that bathing suit try on. Yeah. Or, maybe I don't want to have that feeling of when someone holds me close that I feel like fat,
Right.
I'm being serious.
Yeah.
You have to be real with yourself and think, okay, so what is it's protecting me not to be held. It's protecting me from not feeling good about trying on clothes. It's protecting me from not wanting to get up on that stage, not to go to those parties, that's what you're doing. Yeah. So what do I do about it? I form a new relationship with it.
Exactly.
I like this, Candace.
I'm glad.
I think this is a very cool program. I think it's very important. People come to realizations and start their growth in many ways. I think this is a wonderful way to start to just say, wow, I got a lot of stuff I haven't dealt with.
Yeah. And also a way to explore it that is not so threatening, right?
Yes.
So if I say I have a lot of stuff I haven't dealt with, sometimes that can be overwhelming as well. Like, I got to work on myself. I got to do this. But no, you just got to be willing to ask yourself some questions and allow the exploration and allow what you can discover in the exploration.
And if anyone knows me, and people who are my listeners do, I'm big on the strategic baby steps. And I say, strategic baby steps move mountains.
Yes.
And that's because you don't get overwhelmed, And so, and this is a great way because it's just like, I can do this. I can figure out why I have this relationship this way with my fat. And I think it's time for a new one. That's all it takes, guys. That's really all it takes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we make it sound so hard, and it's not. Well, it's funny in our world. We want to. I think we're tired. We're tired. People are tired. It's like they just another thing, and we have been inundated for 4 or 5 years now with just everyday crises on one level or another. Really, if you really think about it. And I think there was another crisis, and I thought to myself, oh, well, yeah, just add it to the pile, And that's how people are. They're very tired. And to suddenly load on a ton of stuff for them to do right now, it's just not going to, no one wants a list to have to fix themselves now.
True.
They want to love. They want to feel love. They want kindness. That's why I said it's time for kindness. And when we just say to her, and what's better than being kind to ourselves in a way that says, that is interesting. You are protecting me, fat.
Yeah.
and I understand that. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of change here. I don't, maybe not even start on all of it. Just say, you know what? I think I'm going to just get some, start to feel good in that bathing suit. I want to feel good, and I don't need to be protected. I want to look good when I walk that beach. Yeah. And or the intimacy. Just pick one, instead of covering the whole thing. Strategic baby steps. And then as you start getting better, you'll think, ooh, now we can deal with the intimacy thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to take off the whole section. You can take it off in little bits. And in all my personal growth, from when from the very beginning, which was, I guess, around 1821, when I left home, I started to, I never, ever felt like it was a burden. And we always, sometimes people think, I got to work on myself. No, you don't get it, folks. And some people say it's so hard. Well, yeah, because you're trying to take off a whole mountain. Baby steps. Yeah. And then before you know it, as you do it, you're starting to feel this a little bit more freedom, a little bit more freedom. A little bit of your shoulders are now going back and down and feeling good. You know, you don't get that tension so much. That freedom. You're playing music in the car. Oh my gosh. And it feels good. You might even bebop a little. You're starting to feel better. There's new realizations every little step that just free you. It's like little butterflies. Just keep flying off, you know? And that's how personal growth should feel.
Yeah. It's certainly an evolution. I totally agree with that. I mean, I can't say that I've always...
had butterflies? You haven't had butterflies all the time?
Right? But there's definitely been years where I felt like it was a fight and a struggle, and sometimes that healing felt like I was, being raked over the coals. But, I agree with you that it's that willingness to take those little steps and just be in each moment.
Yes.
And allow,
that's what it takes.
Yes. That helps us through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. The book, even my program, Hello Soul, how I got to be living by my soul, I was taught mostly, I guess I learned this concept because, and I didn't even realize this, Candice, to tell you the truth, until I wrote the book, that most of the stuff I learned was from shamanic people that I knew, shamans. And more, I loved Wayne Dyer. I loved Bob Proctor. But Bob Proctor actually made me more into the person of the thoroughbred. You know, it wasn't about just... he said surrender the how, but you're already on that track. You're already racing. He gets you started on the race and then you're supposed to let go. It's very hard. So I really... I learned from a lot of shamans how to do this, and it was gentler. It wasn't. It was more of the strategic. That's where I learned the baby steps, and using the baby steps to create the mountain or to get rid of the mountain, because with each one you're just highly focused, and you're also letting go at the same time. It's interesting. And that's, I think, that's why I felt such a wonderful release each time. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that something? And I that was a realization this week, actually, when I was reading back through because I was forming a program from the book. And because I got one going on this February. I have people that want it, so I started putting a course together. And I started to think to myself, my gosh, that's why it's a little bit different. That's why it's so much easier than saying, okay, now I got to deal with this issue. Oh my God, that sounds so daunting.
Yeah.
I never say that. I never say, oh gosh, now I got to deal with this. I don't even use those words. We want to have love for everyone else, but we don't even treat ourselves well. How can we treat someone else? Yeah. It's like that old African saying, you can't ask for a shirt from someone who doesn't have one. So how can people get hold of you for this fat shrinking emotional fitness?
So the best way right now is to go to the Epic Circle meetup. But right now, if they join the Epic Circle meetup, they'll get all the announcements and all the links and even a promo code so that they can get a percentage off of taking the course when the course is actually ready to go. We haven't launched yet. We're launching the beginning of February. Okay. Yeah.
We'll have people look. And for all you wonderful listeners out there, look at Soul Manifesto too. Oh my gosh, I even looked at my soulmanifesto.com, my website. Wow, it looks good. I was just amazed. And I think if you go there right now, Inevitable You, which is the same as Candace Harper is on the Inevitable You, along with Elizabeth Gilbert, and then there's other people that you love, Chad LaFave. There's other people that I've had on the show that are actually on that. I have to say, guys, it's on incredible sale. Incredible. I think it's like $40-something. And if you are interested, now's the time, because I think that sale is only lasting for about 4 days. I think it'll last till Monday. So if you are interested, go ahead and get yourself registered now. If not, and you hear this promo, say, hey, Alena, send me a message right there at Soul Manifesto. Hey, Alena, I heard about your promo. I really want to do that with the sale price, and I'll get it for you. Okay? Because the most important thing is to start doing that wonderful strategic baby step of starting this 2021 better in your own way, physically, mentally, and spiritually. I love you all. As always, hey, spirit is love, folks. And when we start loving ourselves and acting kindness to others and grow in that love, grow that beautiful garden, we are with spirit.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.